Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. It's been a while since the last video in this series, but we are back. Today I have a mix of upcoming action adventures and action RPGs that could be worth playing when they come out. By the way, you can check out the full playlist of upcoming games if this is your first time watching one of these videos. Anyway, I don't wanna waste a lot of time on the intro, so let's get straight to it. Number 5. Path to Etinway. Path to Etinway is an upcoming fantasy RPG where you play as a lone warrior navigating through a strange land filled with mystery and danger. The info for this game is very scarce, but everything that I could find about it looks pretty interesting. The developer is posting regular video updates on Twitter where we can see some various parts of the game. When I first saw one of the clips for the game, it looked really rough, and the only trailer on YouTube doesn't do it justice. But if you check out new clips on their official Twitter account, you can see some major improvements. These clips are usually focused on combat with different weapon types, but we can see some really nice environments in the game as well. It looks more like an action adventure to me that could have some RPG elements. Like I said, we know next to nothing about Path to Etinway, and the Steam page is probably just a placeholder. But just by judging by all these combat clips, I think there is a solid foundation for a good action adventure game. Here are a couple of more short combat clips before we move on to the next game. Number 4. Carbon. Carbon is an upcoming action RPG developed by indie team called Hardwired. And funny thing about that, the game was actually called Hardwired, but recently they decided to rename it to Carbon. Anyway, this game has been in development for almost 4 years, judging by their oldest dev blog on their official website. Carbon looks like a cyberpunk Diablo-like RPG with a pretty solid gameplay. In the newest dev blog we can see various segments of the game. We got a couple of different enemy types like droids and security guards, some action melee combat, as well as some items that we'll be able to get in the game. Speaking about items, here is what they said on their website. Now we're going to take a look at some design aspects of our game. Every action RPG is only good as its itemization, so we don't want to take this aspect of the game lightly. We are sticking to action RPG standards here with a bit of extra flavor for the most valuable items. So yeah, by the looks of things, it's basically working like most Diablo-like action RPGs. We have white, blue, yellow, orange and red items. On top of that, the game has some more layers of that for customization in terms of sockets and modifiers. I personally think that nowadays all hack and slash RPGs really need to have an in-depth system for character customization, because that's one of the things which will keep you playing the game. Not just when it comes to regular campaign of the game, but beyond that. You know, like map system in Path of Exile, Greater Rifts in Diablo 3, or Shattered Realms or roguelike dungeons in Grim Dawn. I just hope Carbon has a similar gameplay mode. Anyway, if we take a look at some previous dev blogs from early 2021, we can see some more gameplay. But this video is pretty old by now, so it's not exactly showcasing the game in the best light. Besides that, the developers are pretty active on Twitter, they post short video updates on a regular basis. That's pretty much it when it comes to all the info we have about Carbon. I have no idea about the release date, but if I had to guess, it will come out during this or the next year. It's been in development since 2018, so that's what I expect at least. Number 3. Coridden. Coridden is an action-adventure RPG with a strong focus on co-op modes. For some reason, this game gives me similar vibes to Lara Croft and the Guardian of the Light, but you be the judge. Coridden has some interesting gameplay ideas. You can gather DNA from creatures you kill and use them as items just like every other loot. Shapeshifting seems to be a big feature in the game. You can fight as the animal you just killed or use them to traverse the map as mounts. Besides the trailer, I found a couple of clips where we can see some shapeshifting gameplay. Most of the creatures that we can see look like some dinosaur-like creatures, and they all have different abilities by the looks of things. Putting the shapeshifting aside, Coridden looks like a traditional top-down hack and slash RPG. We're going to have different skills to choose and build our characters, and I'm curious how that's going to synergize in co-op. Although we already know that the game is focused a lot on co-op, which makes me wonder about the single-player modes. I'm more of a single-player guy myself, but I know a lot of people who are watching my content care about co-op in RPGs. So if you're one of those people, I think that Coridden will be very interesting to you. Speaking of co-op, you can play with 3 other people in a 4-player co-op mode. And Coridden has one special game mechanic in co-op, which allows you to unlock a special team mechanic, riding on each other's back to become a strong cavalry unit together. So you get to ride your friends in this game basically. When it comes to some other features like the story, this is all we got so far. Take the role as one of the 4 thrill-seeking siblings who one day gain superhuman abilities after receiving gold artifacts. Explore different paths in the choice-driven dialogues and the various quests you can take on during your mission to save your people. The trailer has clips from various parts of the game. We can see a lot of fighting, exploring, and some major locations in the game, I guess. Coridden has a simplistic but very appealing art style that seems to create a very nice atmosphere in the game. And the music in the trailer sounds great, although I'm a bit afraid to play it in the video because that's always a risk, so I suggest to watch the trailer for yourself. If you're looking for a new action RPG that you can play with your friends, keep your eye on Coridden. Number 2. SoulKeeper. To be honest with you, I wasn't so sure if I wanted to include this game on the list. That's because I've heard about SoulKeeper a long time ago, and it seemed like this game got scrapped or cancelled at one point. The first trailer for this game was published all the way back in 2015. A couple of years after that, for some reason this developer decided to make the VR version of the same game, which was kinda weird. The VR version of the game got released in 2017, and it was met with mixed reception. However, it seems like technical issues were the main problem with that game, judging by Steam reviews at least. Besides that, it was said that the game had a lot of potential. But that's not the game that we're going to talk about in this video. After this VR version of SoulKeeper, they decided to stick with the regular version of the game, I guess. So we have a couple of videos about the SoulKeeper action RPG that's supposedly being developed as we speak. Even though I'm a bit skeptical about this studio in general, I think this game could be very interesting. It's obviously inspired by Norse mythology, the art style, and the whole theme of the game just screams Vikings. We can see a couple of different fights from these clips, and this particular fight looks really fun. Besides that, we have a couple of different clips which are focusing on voice acting.
Reliving every mistake I made, as if I am living it for the first time.
So yeah, by the looks of things, this game is on a good path. Other than that, I didn't manage to find any particular info about the game mechanics and features, which is kinda weird. Like I said, I'm not too sure about this studio, but I like what I see in these clips. Here are a couple of more short gameplay clips. I will keep my eye on this game and probably make an updated video when we get some more actual info about the game. Number 1. Lies of P. Lies of P is one of the games that I recently featured on the channel. Everything that I could see so far about this game looks amazing and pretty unique. You basically play as Pinocchio, but this version of the story is a lot more dark and twisted. However, if you know the original story of Pinocchio, that won't come as a surprise to you because it was equally dark and twisted. Lies of P looks like it has some amazing atmosphere and some great gameplay. The game takes place in the fallen city of Krat, which is supposedly struck by a plague. This setting is inspired by Belle Epoque era in Europe in the late 19th century. The artistic style of the game is reflected by that inspiration, but the game also has a noticeably dark atmosphere. Some parts of the game have some steampunk elements as well. When it comes to the story, you will take the role of Pinocchio, and you need to find Geppetto somewhere in the city. But your main goal is to become human, and you need to achieve that by lying. So I'm guessing that's going to be related to dialogue interactions in the game. The gameplay in Lies of P looks amazing. Judging by the gameplay, it's a Souls-like combat and it gives me some strong Bloodborne vibes. The combat looks really polished and the game seems like it has a big budget. You get to customize your body parts, which will affect the skills that Pinocchio can use. You can also combine multitude of weapons to create your own playstyle, lying quests and multiple endings. Experience interconnected procedural quests that play out depending on how you lie. These choices will then affect how the story ends. So yeah, like I said, the lying is related to dialogue and quests, and I always like to see when the game has multiple endings. The lying feature could also break the monotony of the dark and gloomy setting with some funny dialogue lines or something. At least that's what I expect to see. So even though all of this seems great, there is one reason to be a bit concerned. Lies of P is being developed by the same studio that released Blessed Unleashed MMO. That MMORPG was not received that great, but I never played it for myself, so I can't really talk about it. It was published a couple of times with a slightly different name, which seems kinda shady. However, Lies of P is a single-player action RPG, so it's supposed to be a completely different experience. I look forward to playing this game when it comes out, although we don't know the release date yet. And that will be it for this video. I hope at least one of these games got your attention. Tell me your opinion about these games in the comments below and which one looks the best to you and why. Don't forget to subscribe for more RPG contents. If you want to support the channel in the long run, consider becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You can get your name on the end credits, as well as some other perks like early access to videos, Discord roles, my plans for future content, etc, etc. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.